Hey guys, Jonathan here, and in today's video, I want to do a comparison between the original 2015 UCS Slave 1 and the 2025 Slave 1, and this is really fun, because of course, in canon, both ships are the same, but the 2015 one is Boba Fett's from the original trilogy, and the 2025 one is Jango's from the prequels. I want to give a huge shout out to my friend Steve for letting me borrow his UCS Slave 1 of Boba Fett's model, and to LEGO for sending me the Jango Fett one early to review. Now, in this video, it's going to be fun to break these down because not only did these have 10 years of LEGO design between them, but the original one had 1,996 pieces with 5 minifigs, 3 of which were exclusive, and a price tag of $200. Adjusted for inflation, that'd be about $270 today, and on today's market, this set goes for about $400 to $500. Now, the new Jango Fett Slave 1 has 2,970 pieces, released in May of 2025, and is $300 out of the gate with 2 exclusive minifigures, those being Jango and Boba. So we do have quite a bit of difference between the two, and right off the bat, it is crazy to have gotten 5 minifigs with the original, 3 of which were exclusive, and 2 minifigs with the new one, but it's $30 more adjusted for inflation, and yeah, it's just really interesting to see what's going on here. So let's start with those minifigs, then take a closer look at the builds. Now, when it comes to minifigs, Brick Economy counts Han Solo and Carbonite as its own minifig. I'm not sure if I would, but I did say it includes 5 minifigs earlier because Brick Economy said so, but regardless, these are the minifigs that came in other sets. Of course, that Han and Carbonite and the Stormtrooper itself. The Han Solo minifig is pretty much everything you could want or ask for. Of course, he's got the, frozen face on one side and a concerned face on the other. And if you've never seen how this works, because we haven't gotten Han and Carbonite in some years, you basically just clip his hands into these pieces, and then the figure actually clips into the Carbonite piece, and you're able to put Captain Solo in the cargo hold from there. Another exclusive minifig was the Bespin Guard. He has a great torso print, a head that was used elsewhere on many other, like Star Wars officer figures, and the blue hat. It is nice to get something a little extra and bonus, like, in the Jango Fett Slave 1, it might have been cool to get, like, a Kamino cloner or Obi-Wan or something, but regardless, it is nice to get this one here from 10 years ago. And the man of the hour when it comes to this set, the UCS Boba Fett, one of the most legendary LEGO Star Wars minifigs of all time, giving us the great arm printing on both arms, the hip printing, the leg printing, the toe printing, and the exclusive head underneath that just looked so great. Now, I do think that it would be fun to compare it to Jango, because of course they're different figures, but they are wearing basically the same armor, which is pretty cool. Jango, of course, getting the great arm printing this time around on both sides. It's our first Jango Fett minifig in many years, which is special in its own way. And, of course, the jetpack mold is the same, just different colors. But another new thing is the rangefinder on Jango and Boba is completely different. So Boba uses the one that debuted in the Clone Wars all the way back in 2008 or so. And Jango's is brand new, debuting in this set. In the 2025 one, we actually get 3 of these, one that goes on Jango and 2 extra bonus pieces, so you can kind of build your army out. And then for Jango, of course, we've got the Tamara Morrison likeness head underneath, which can also be flipped around and also comes with a hairpiece so that he can, be without the helmet for when he is actually piloting his ship. Now, that being said, we also get a Daniel Logan-style Boba Fett as a kid. And, it's not really fair to compare Boba to Boba, but it is cool that both sets came with him in different iterations. I'm not a huge fan of the color choices on this figure. I really like previous color choices, like if we look at the 2002 one, obviously the new one's better, but those dark blue arms really help the light blue of the torso pop. In my opinion, the hair choice here is absolutely awful. I really don't know what they were thinking, but we can also flip that hair around and see a little bit more of a scowl on this face, and overall, it is a nice figure and definitely one that needed to be included. Then, of course, we've got the stands for both of them, namely the info plate cards, and it's interesting how much has changed over time. First off, they don't even call it Slave 1 anymore, now it's Jango Fett Starship, but beyond that, the new one is printed where the original was a giant sticker, so it's definitely nice that we, came across that way. But if you look at the actual schematics, they changed a couple little things about, like, maximum speed, maximum acceleration, things like that, but beyond that, for the most part, most of the facts have stayed the same, which is really, really cool and congruent. Now, I have to admit, with both of these models being so large, it is a little tricky to show both of them on camera at the same time, but the first thing I want to focus on is the shaping of the body itself. On the original one, you can see that LEGO really relied on a lot of big rounded pieces to kind of have the shaping go downward, and on the new one, the shaping actually kind of comes up and is a little bit more oval shaped when you look at them side by side. The original Boba Fett version feels a lot longer, whereas this one feels taller, and I think that both of those things are going to appeal to different builders and different collectors, but one thing I love is that they didn't just rinse and repeat and do the same thing from 2015 over again for 2025. I do love that both really take in a lot of the LEGO model building techniques that have built up over the years, and really both stand on their own as their own thing in the end. When we're looking at the guns up front, I do feel like there's give and take between the two. So the base part of it feels a lot more robust on Jango's and a little bit smaller on Boba's, but the actual guns at the end feel way larger on Boba's than on Jango's. Both have the same play feature where they can twist up and down, and they have about the same range. You can really send them the whole way around, but as you can see, the parts on Jango's will just start flying off if you're not too careful. And I even lost a part there. Oh, actually, no, I just had it backward. But regardless, they are very similar. Now, it's a little trickier to compare these one-to-one, but when we look at the actual nose here, you can see that they went for a very similar technique with these pipes on here as well. And then when we move the pieces, well, I guess I better back up the camera to show you that. I do like that the nose of the ships are built completely differently and really just go for different styles. Of course, the color scheming is different because on Jango's, the paint was a little newer than on Boba's, but overall, it does look really, really cool. On Jango's, it does go for a lot more smaller slopes here to kind of bring the nose in a little closer, and on Boba's, kind of like on the back that we were just looking at, it does have larger pieces to make up for that real estate there, but both do look really, really excellent. As we move up to the general cockpit area, you can see that a lot of the same ideas were used here, and in reality, I mean, that's the way it should be, right? These are the best parts to use for this particular model, and it does work out really, really great. When we turn it on the side, you can see that there are slight differences the way that these are built up, and I really like that Jango's right here is a lot more sleek, whereas Boba's has, I don't want to say greebling, but it's a lot more studs exposed and a little bit more bumpy in that respect. Interestingly, the wings part right here, the dome, is very similar across both builds, so I think that that's cool that they paid homage with those pieces, and even the curvature right here, again, different build techniques, but very, very cool how they kind of pay homage to one another. The wings do move with gravity on both models, so the new one definitely learned a little lesson from that the wings move together, which is quite cool. And then, of course, we get into the cockpits, which are going to be hard to look at side by side, so let's go ahead and look at them individually. The 2015 one is notoriously difficult to take out. As you can see, there's a Technic pin that runs in here, and basically you just slide it in and out there for it to lock into place. Now, there are a lot of stickers on the inside of this one, which do look really cool for the command there. So we can, of course, take Boba and have him sit in the command seat, a little something like that. And of course, we could have it move for flight position here where it's straight up, or for landing position where it's straight down. It does not move with gravity, it's just kind of its own thing, but it does look really great. And of course, we've got Boba's guns clipped into the sides on the wall here, which are definitely nice for storage. Then of course, we could close it all up again and make it look a little something like that. There is zero doubt that Jango's version got a lot more detail on the interior, and it actually removes the windscreen a lot easier too. Down below, you can see we have 2 chairs for extra seating. They kind of get hidden in there if you're not looking for them. I didn't even notice it until the build, actually, so that's kind of interesting. But once again, we just lift that straight out. And speaking of lifting things, we can actually take out this entire pod to see stickers and schematics for the ship and everything that goes with that. Then, of course, we could put Boba and Jango in the seating positions to actually take the command deck here. And there are little like sliders that this just slides into place with. So it goes on like that. Oops, I missed the track. There we go. It goes on like that. And Boba and Jango are ready to fly into action, a little something like that. But we can actually remove this, and we could see the Uvu 4 sticker up there, which of course is paying homage to the old Jango Fett video game from back in the day, where Jango got the Slave 1 from. And we can remove this to see a Bacta tank in the back, which is quite cool, and really just hides in plain sight right there. Just clips into place nice and easy. Then we slide this back into place nice and easy, and we're good to go and ready for takeoff. Now, the backs of the ship are actually quite different, and I think that that's really fascinating, too. On the back of Boba's ship, we can move up this piece, and I'm not sure if that's supposed to be like a support or something, but that piece does move up. Maybe it's just, you know, there for show and not really meant to do anything. But on Jango's, we actually have a little bit more that moves around over here. We've got the seismic charge that we can remove these panels and see that seismic charge bomb that we know from the movie. It's one of those things you can hear without a sound effect even being present. But there's just a stud on the back that clicks into here. Then we're able to take these brick built pieces and close it off inside the door right there, a little something like that. On the 2025, you can see we've got a lot more rounded shaping going on, whereas on the 2015, it's a little more rough around the edges in certain parts, but it does have its own kind of 10-year nostalgic charm to it between the two builds themselves. Now, as far as the colors go, of course, we've got the blue and the yellow, which is movie accurate on both, with those being different. Then that brings us to the stands that we need to look at, and removing both ships from them is actually a very different process, but with how unique these are shaped themselves, they definitely required ingenuity, so I'll show you both of those now. Now, the stand on the original is a little bit, well, it's always made me nervous. That's one way to put it. But you just kind of lift it up and out, and then you're ready to go, and it really just kind of sits back with gravity. I do think that the 2025 one is a lot more safe in that regard, but of course, when we turn it, the wings move with gravity, and you can land it safe and sound just like that. All right, so removing Jango's ship, you just kind of lift it up and off, and then you'll see that the stand has hooks right here that you let gravity do the rest. Speaking of gravity, on Jango's ship, of course, when we turn it, the wings move depending on which way the ship is landing, and of course you can land it just like that, safe and sound. So as far as landing mode goes, you can see that there's a little door you can open right here with a clip that hangs down, and of course you could put Captain Solo in the cargo hold, little something like that, clip him into place. And then once he's clipped into place, you just kind of close the door and he goes into the interior, a little something like that. Then on the 2025 one, of course, the main feature in this area in the movie is Boba and Jango loading into it, so you can push this down and see how it kind of opens up to a hollow interior. It's not really meant for play, but once Boba and Jango are inside, you can push this tab down and it closes it up. So it's a really fun and ingenious play feature that works really well to recreate this scene of the movie here. Well, needless to say, guys, both versions have a lot of charm. The original really was a lot more blocky, but it does have a really great presence in person, which I really, really like. And the new Jango Fett Slave 1 is a great model in its own right. In the end, I'm very happy that both models are very different. It would have been really boring if LEGO just put out the same thing twice, just color swapping it. So I am glad that both have their own unique models going on here, and what would be really interesting would be to see somebody take the 2025 one and recolor it to look like this one, or I'm sure out there somebody did the same, making the original UCS look like Jango's colors, but that's something I would love to see from the mock community, and I guess I'll have to keep an eye out for that after this one releases and people can get to work on mocking. But let me know what you guys think of these two. Let me know which one you guys ultimately like better. Thanks again to LEGO for sending me the new one, and to my buddy Steve for letting me borrow this one. So let me know your guys' thoughts, and I'll see you guys on the next video.